Matt from Chicago. My question today stems from Vader's recent appearance on Steve Austin's podcast. When talking about WCW, Vader mentioned he had issues with Paul Orndorff. It sounds like they had heat and it affected his time in WCW, but he didn't really go into detail. Can you please explain this? Why was there heat between Vader and Orndorff? What incident or incidents is Vader referring to? Well, it was a backstage fight that happened in WCW. It would have been in '95. It was right before Vader came over to WWE. There are a lot of different versions of this story, just so you know. Most of them are pretty much in agreement on one thing, and that is that Vader got his ass kicked by Orndorff. Vader's story is that Eric Bischoff had asked him to do a photo shoot that day. And this was just prior to a TV taping at Center Stage in Atlanta. They were taping a whole bunch of hours of TV worldwide and all that kind of stuff. And Vader had to be at the building and was going to be. But again, Bischoff called him, said, "Listen, Leon, I need you to do a photo shoot." And Vader, I was concerned that I was going to be late, but Bischoff told me not to worry about it and said that Bischoff was going to let everybody know that Vader's going to be late. So he does the photo shoot. And he shows up late to the tapings. And Paul Orndorff was an agent that night. And he sees Vader. And he asks him, "Where the hell have you been? You're late." Vader said, "Listen, you're not my boss." And Orndorff may have called him a fat ass in response. Again, what the exact words were, you'll get different answers from different people. Vader claims that Bischoff, again, he promised him he was going to let everybody know he was coming in late. And obviously Bischoff never did that. Or they never told Orndorff. And the whole thing, it sounds like it was a misunderstanding more than anything else. Everyone said that Vader sucker punched Orndorff, and that's what started things rolling. Of course, Vader says otherwise. He says Orndorff was only a few inches from his face, and he was threatening him, and so he reacted. He also claims that he knew, Vader claims, he would end up in jail if he really unleashed on Orndorff. So that's why he held back, and he was covering up his face, and he really wasn't fighting back as Orndorff is raining blows down upon him. So Orndorff, somewhere in this, kicked Vader in the face or in the head a few times with his feet while wearing flip-flops, which did some damage. And I'm sure that was quite the scene of Paul Orndorff in his flip-flops kicking the shit out of Big Van Vader backstage. Orndorff, finally, he's ushered into another room by some other agents, and at this point, Vader claims, "Now I'm ready to fight." And he goes into the room where they took Orndorff, and he tells him as much. He says, "I'll meet you in the parking lot for a fight," but the other agents were not going to allow that to happen. And so it ended there. And, Orndorff had nerve damage in his arm, which was well known, but he was still a big, tough guy. Orndorff didn't fuck around. So that's what happened. I believe that was the reason that Vader got fired from WCW, although Vader claims he wasn't fired. He says Bischoff told him, "Go take some time off, go clear your head, go work in Japan or something, and then you can, we'll bring you back." But he ended up going to WWF. He had just turned babyface that year, right before all this happened. He was supposed to be one of Hulk Hogan's partners in the War Games match that year, but obviously that never happened. This comes from Nissim. "I was reading the SmackDown spoilers when I ran into a response about a certain wrestler being buried because of a single loss. I would like you to explain to people the idea of pushing someone and burying someone. It seems like people think if a wrestler loses one match to a legitimate rival, they are being buried. The IWC, a name that you and me both hate, seems to be full of people that simply misunderstand the wrestling business. Maybe Delusional Dixie should consult them as much as she does Vince Russo." I don't know, bro. I think you made a good point there without me having to chime in much. I'm in agreement with you. People use and abuse that word so much, and they don't have any concept of what it really means. And I have to catch myself when I use the word bury. I try to use it only when it really is appropriate to use it, because I don't want a whole bunch of people saying, "Well, see, Solomonster said this person buried this person, and this person got buried," and then it kind of blows back on me. So I have to try to be responsible whenever I use that word. But is it overused and abused? You bet your ass it is. And people just don't understand, I think, oftentimes the context when they use it. They just assume this person lost, so that means they're buried. And that's just not the case.